welcome back to the channel. So I wasn't able to upload last week because I pulled something in my back, so wasn't able to do any work on the MX-5. My back's not too sore now, so we can go ahead and continue on with the MX-5. So the last thing we were doing, we were making the carbon fiber skinning piece here. So we're just going to continue on cleaning up the pieces of the engine. So today going to be working on the intake manifold. Plan was to either to paint it black wrinkle paint to match this as well, but or either polish it or polish it. So I decided I'm going to go and polish this up instead, because I think it will look nice look nice with the black here and once it's on the engine. And I've also got a manifold come in as well to go here, which will match. They'll both be sort of stainless steel polished on this side, and this here will be polished as well. So I think it will be a good match for the engine to start off. So we're going to be polishing this, or at least try to get it polished up. So first off, we're going to take all these extra bits off that we don't want on, so we can in order to sand it down. So I'm going to be starting with probably like 120. It's going to start with 120 grit sandpaper, and I've got some other pieces here. We've got some. I thought these were bigger when I bought them, but they will do fine. These are like sanding pads too. So we got for like 120 grit to up to 400 grit there, so we can get into all the hard to get areas. Just got the manifold split up, got all the pieces off. Couldn't get these bolts off, so I'm just going to leave it on. We can just clean that up after. So to start off with, I just want to start sanding this down, so I'm going to go ahead and start with probably 120 grit paper, just to get all this, because it's quite rough at the minute, so we want to get this pretty smooth first, and then we can start going up the grits to probably around 600 grit for now. Got most of the manifold sanded down with 120 grit, so I got rid of most of the pitting on here, so it's kind of shining. You can see we've still got all these scratches that we need to get out, but I was mostly worried about the top, or I want this top part to be I wanted to get rid of most of the pitting from this top piece, because that's what you're mostly going to see, and then around this area I got as much off as possible. It's still got pitting here on some parts, so you can see in these areas like that, but you're not going to really notice that as much, because it's going to be at the side and it's not going to be seen as much. So that's why I was focusing on the top piece, so it's nice and smooth and not much pitting. So we've done 120 grit all over on the manifold, so we're going to move up to now 240 grit to 240 to 480 to then 600 grit. Just to get rid of all these scratches, all the scratch marks, so we can keep going up higher grits till we don't see any of the deep scratches. And then once that's done, we can go ahead and start the polishing stage. Okay, so I got these two pieces fully sanded now. It's not perfect, but it's gonna take way too long to try and get it perfect, and still then it'll probably not be that good, but overall it's looking a lot better than it was. So what I'm gonna do right now is, since we finished sanding, got most of the scratches out, I'm gonna go move, and we're gonna be start buffing these up. So I'm gonna be using this bench grinder with some wheels. So we got this Scotch pad. We're going to use this first just to a nice brush look. You can either keep it as a nice brush look, or then we can take it to the next step, which we'll be using these polished wheels, as well as these. We've got a softer ones, and we also have the buffing material that is needed for it. So first off, I'm just going to start with the Scotch pad. To the brush look, so I could just leave it like this because it looks pretty nice and clean, but I will go one step ahead, just one step more. I'm going to give it a try and polish it and see how that comes up. So I'm going to switch this here pad out to the hardest polishing wheel, and then I'm going to put on the black compound, which takes off the most material. So I'm going to do that and then just give it a shine, and then we can move on to the next one, which will be this wheel, or we could just skip that step because it might not be needed and go to the fine polish with the white clay. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with this buffing wheel and see how that goes. Everything is now complete. I finished off with the final stage of buffing, and they're coming out pretty nicely. See, we've got a nice sort of mirror finish to it. For the last step, I just want to seal it in and get rid of all the black that's been left from the buffer or the material. So we want to get rid of that. So I'm going to be using some Mother's aluminium polish. So that will basically give it a nice buff. And we'll get rid of all these marks here that you can see, like all that black stuff there, because it's all dried in. So we can get rid of that, and it should shine up nicely. And this is also like a sealer, so you can put this on to stop it from wearing away the polish. Or at some point, I'll probably ceramic coat them. That will keep it protected and stay a nice finish for longer. So the piece is all on. I test fitted it there and it's looking good. So that's pretty much it. So here's all the stuff I ended up using to sand it. I did use a grinder and a sander, as well as these little tiny sanding pads for a little Dremel, which I used, and just to get all that was at the very beginning, to get all the pits out, because it was very heavily pitted. So I got most of them out, and then I got loads of these little tiny scratch pad pieces there. Got loads of these different grit scotch wheels as well for the Dremel, which helped a lot. I'll have everything in the description here for you, so you can basically just do the exact same. It'll be easy to get everything that I used here. At the very end, just make sure, if you want to keep the polish nice, either use a sealant. So I would probably use ceramic coat, but I don't have any, so I wasn't able to do it. But you can use some wax, or even the smaller stuff that I used. You can also use this. So that's pretty much it. Should have it all in the description. But there's also one more thing I want to put on this engine before this video is done. We got a new manifold for the manifold and downpipe without a cat, decatted. Here's the old one here. It's looking a bit nasty, but we will be reusing the cat. It's gonna look a lot nicer on the engine, rather than putting this here ugly looking thing back in. So I'm just gonna go stick it on and see how it looks. I'll also have this in the description as well if you want to get it. And here's the front. So it's all fitted. It's looking pretty nice. So the engine's looking a lot better now. It's almost complete. There's not much left before we then put it back into the MX-5. So just a few things left is we're gonna put on. Got to do the timing belt still, and we've got to also put on all the crank pulleys and all that. But that's it. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment, leave a like. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.